What if one rising superstar moved through studios and velvet rope parties where three of hip-hop's most powerful men, R. Kelly, Diddy, and Jay Z, kept crossing paths, and years later, each name sat under a different cloud of allegations about how young women were treated? Start with what's documented. Court evidence showed R. Kelly's team arranged a fraudulent 1994 marriage license so he could wed 15-year-old Aaliyah, an act prosecutors said was driven by panic she might be pregnant. Fast forward, Cassie Ventura's 2023 lawsuit accusing Diddy of rape, violent control, and drug-fueled coercion settled within a day, but her later courtroom testimony and corroborating footage helped spark deeper federal scrutiny of Combs' conduct. Then there's the rumor economy. Foxy Brown has publicly swatted down claims she was silenced over an underage relationship with Jay Z, and Rihanna's former publicist, Jonathan Hay, has admitted to planting an early Jay Z Rihanna affair story for publicity, a reminder that gossip can harden into history if unchecked.
Section 1. The documented shock. Aaliyah and R. Kelly's secret marriage. Before we get lost in rumor webs, lock in the one piece of this story that sits on an actual legal paper trail. In August 1994, a marriage license was filed in Illinois showing 27-year-old R. Kelly marrying 18-year-old Aaliyah Dana Houghton. She was 15. At Kelly's federal racketeering and sex-trafficking trial, a former tour manager testified he handed a $500 bribe to a government employee to secure a fake ID so the ceremony could happen under the radar. A Cook County records official also testified that the ID used to obtain the license improperly listed Aaliyah as 18. Why the rush? Prosecutors argued, and media reporting echoed, that Kelly's camp feared Aaliyah might be pregnant and marriage could shield him from potential legal fallout tied to age of consent laws. The license, issued under false age, was later annulled at her family's insistence. Aaliyah severed professional ties with Kelly soon after. This isn't internet gossip, it's sworn testimony, court evidence, and archival reporting. And if this much manipulation was required just to paper over one relationship, what did it say about the larger industry climate a teenage Aaliyah was navigating? Up next, the late 1990s rooms where power players Diddy, Jay Z, Damon Dash, J-Lo, and Aaliyah kept showing up in the same frames, and how those snapshots later supercharged conspiracy talk online.
Section 2. Rooms full of power, when everybody showed up. If you want to understand why fans connect Aaliyah to a shadow network of industry heavyweights, look at the photos, because the late 90s and millennial-era party circuit put everybody in the same frame. On July 2, 2000, Sean "Puffy" Combs hosted his 4th of July blowout in East Hampton. Wire service and agency shots from that day show overlapping clusters: Aaliyah, Damon Dash, Jay Z, Jennifer Lopez, Hype Williams, fashion insiders, hip-hop, pop, fashion, and film all laid out across white decks and lawns. The images circulate every few years, each time reigniting speculation. If they were all partying together, what else was happening? These weren't small gatherings. Combs' Hampton parties, precursors to his later high-concept white parties, became legendary for sheer celebrity density. Music moguls, actors, supermodels, media execs, politicians' kids. Long before social feeds, these events signaled status. After smartphones, they became forensic exhibits for internet detectives combing backgrounds, body language, even who was seated where. Retrospectives revisiting Combs' party culture now do so in the shadow of his legal battles, giving old photos new, darker subtext. And the recontextualizing hasn't stopped. Each new allegation against Diddy or lawsuit naming powerful insiders sends archivists and fans rushing back to those 2000 images of Aaliyah in the Hamptons beside Jay Z and Combs, stitching them into TikTok threads and headline what-ifs that sometimes spin into full-blown conspiracy stories. Beyoncé, Jay Z, Diddy, and the tragic death that took Aaliyah at 22. The photos are real. The leap to coordinated cover-ups is where speculation starts. We'll stay clear on that line as we move forward. Next, Cassie's lawsuit blew open long-buried allegations about Diddy's private events, proof that party culture could hide abuse for years. What does that say about the rooms Aaliyah once walked through? Section 3 coming up.
Section 3. Cassie lights the fuse when private abuse became public evidence. For years, whispers about what really happened behind the velvet ropes at Diddy's parties floated through blogs and forums. But it was Cassie Ventura's November 16, 2023 federal lawsuit that detonated the conversation in full daylight. Filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act, the complaint accused Sean Diddy Combs of rape, repeated physical assaults, coercive control, forced drug use, and orchestrated drug-fueled group encounters she described as freak-offs. Shockingly, the case settled within 24 hours, a speed that only intensified public suspicion about what might surface if it went to trial. Settlement didn't end the story. In May 2024, surveillance footage obtained and published by news outlets showed Combs grabbing, punching, and kicking Cassie in a Los Angeles hotel hallway, imagery that visually corroborated the kind of violence she had alleged. As the clip ricocheted across social media, federal attention on Combs escalated. Homeland Security investigations led multi-state raids, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and seized electronics as part of a widening probe into sex trafficking and related conduct tied to Combs' inner circle. By late 2024, he faced federal sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation charges, a sweeping case that prosecutors said revealed a coercive enterprise built around manipulation, drugs, and the now infamous freak-offs. Court filings and agency statements alleged threats, surveillance, bribes, and the moving of individuals across state lines for commercial sex acts. Inside the 2025 Manhattan trial, Cassie took the stand and described a years-long pattern, demands that she recruit men, perform under heavy drug influence, and submit while Combs recorded the encounters. Punishment, professional or physical, if she resisted. Additional witnesses and law enforcement testimony painted rooms stocked with baby oil, sex paraphernalia, drugs, and weapons, imagery that has since become shorthand for Combs' alleged party culture. Why does this matter for Aaliyah's story? Cassie's case proved that glittering celebrity spaces can cloak extreme imbalance, coercion, even criminal conduct for years. When viewers re-examine those old photos of Aaliyah smiling at summer parties with the same powerful men later linked to abuse investigations, it's no surprise the internet asks, who saw what and who stayed quiet? Next, we explore that culture of looking away and the artists who said the red flags were visible all along. Section 4 coming up.
Section 4. Did others know? The industry habit of looking away. One reason Aaliyah keeps getting pulled into sprawling conspiracy threads is simple. People don't believe that the adults around her didn't see what was happening. That distrust goes back decades. In a resurfaced 2002 interview, Nas told radio host Wendy Williams he couldn't accept that collaborators working closely with R. Kelly, naming Jay Z, failed to notice underage girls around the singer. The clip keeps resurfacing because it captures a core suspicion. Stars, managers, and crews were in the rooms. Looking away was a choice. That suspicion landed differently after the avalanche of allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. Reporting and analysis note how many insiders benefited from proximity to Combs' power, even as troubling behavior circulated in whispers.
As lawsuits multiplied and raids hit his properties, music executives and former collaborators faced uncomfortable questions about what they tolerated for the sake of hits, access, and branding. The Diddy scandal became a case study in how celebrity ecosystems can normalize abuse until outside pressure, lawsuits, video evidence, federal warrants forces the curtain open. Zoom out, and the pattern looks systemic. Government and industry inquiries into misogyny in music describe entrenched gendered power imbalances, widespread harassment, and an environment where self-employed artists, most musicians, fear professional retaliation if they speak. UK Parliament's misogyny in music reports argue that non-disclosure agreements are routinely deployed to bury complaints, reinforcing a boys' club that protects reputations over people. Advocacy groups and policy analysts similarly warn that NDAs, while sometimes requested by survivors, often lock testimony away, letting predators remain in circulation. Survivor surveys echo the chilling effect. Large numbers of women and gender minority musicians report harassment, yet feel unable to file complaints. Many describe contracts that say little about safety and a culture that punishes whistleblowers. When placed beside high-profile cases, R. Kelly and Diddy, the data feeds a wider public narrative. The industry has long rewarded silence. And when silence is standard, fans start filling blanks with speculation, especially around young artists like Aaliyah, who moved through those same circles. Next, the internet's most persistent blank involves Jay Z and Foxy Brown, rumors born in a diss-era crossfire and kept alive by message boards, not court dockets. We'll break down how that rumor spread, what's been denied, and why it still sticks. Section 5 coming up.
Section 5. Jay Z, Foxy Brown, and how a rumor became internet lore. No part of the Aaliyah web gets recycled harder online than the claim that Jay Z messed with Foxy Brown when she was underage and that she signed some ironclad NDA to stay quiet. Here's what's real, what's lyrical smoke, and what's straight-up message board mutation. The rumor's longest shadow comes from the Nas vs. Jay Z battle era. Coverage of their famous diss exchange notes that Nas's Scorched Earth track Ether threw a sly jab implying Jay had been intimate with Foxy. The bar never proved anything, but fans treated it like a receipt. Diss records often weaponize gossip. Over time, fragments from lyric wars got recast as historical footnotes. Fast forward 2 decades, lawsuits and renewed scrutiny of powerful men in hip-hop reignited old whispers. Media recaps show that as fresh allegations hit Jay Z, which he forcefully denies, fans dug up his 90s protege Foxy Brown, asking whether long-circulating underage rumors were about to come out. Foxy responded publicly, posting Instagram stories blasting fake news, mocking the idea that an NDA could muzzle her, and telling people to stop trying to weaponize her name to take Hove down. Coverage of her posts across entertainment outlets shows a consistent pattern. Foxy Brown has denied that she was bound by any secret agreement or that she's sitting on a suppressed underage story about Jay Z. In past interviews, she's also rejected earlier tabloid claims that she trashed him or exposed something scandalous, underscoring a long record of batting away rumor bait. Why does the story keep coming back? Because silence plus power gaps equals speculation fuel. When audiences see young artists moving through male-dominated industries where other abuse cases later surface, any unexplained closeness gets retrofitted into a theory. Add diss track taunts, screenshots from old videos, and low-context reposts, and rumor calcifies into internet lore. For creators, the lesson is to label unverified claims every time and anchor commentary to what's on the record. YouTube's own policy pages warn that repeating untrue, reputation-harming claims can cross into defamation territory, especially when minors are invoked. So the safest framing is always fans online speculate, rather than it happened. Next, a different kind of rumor engine. The publicist who admitted he planted an early Jay Z and Rihanna story for publicity shows how manufactured buzz can spiral into years of speculation. Section 6 coming up.
Section 6. The publicist who lit the match, Jonathan Hay and the Rihanna rumor machine. Sometimes the loudest evidence in celebrity conspiracy threads starts with the publicity stunt. Case in point, Jonathan Hay, part of the early promo push behind Rihanna's breakout single Pon de Replay, has repeatedly admitted that he helped fabricate the original Jay Z Rihanna affair rumor as a desperate move to get attention for a new artist. He later apologized publicly, on TV, in interviews, and again when Beyoncé biographer J. Randy Tara Borelli revisited the scandal, calling the stunt reckless. The old rumor roared back in 2024 after YouTube documentaries and social chatter linked Jay Z to wider abuse narratives circulating around other industry heavyweights. Hay resurfaced on social media, acknowledging his earlier role and responding to renewed speculation after being name-checked in a Trap Lore Ross piece amplified by DJ Academics. His posts reminded viewers how easily hype tactics become history once they get repeated without context. Hay has also claimed that law enforcement officers once questioned him amid broader inquiries that mentioned Jay Z and an underage Rihanna. Dramatic statements reported in entertainment press, but not backed by publicly released federal case filings. Use extreme caution here. We can say Hay alleges he was questioned, but we cannot state that a formal investigation into Jay Z and minors was confirmed. This is unverified, secondhand, and disputed. Why include this at all? Because it's the perfect lesson in rumor mechanics. One fabricated buzz item to sell a single, plus years of repetition, plus fresh scandals involving other stars, equals a sticky narrative fans treat like a missing puzzle piece in every new allegation web, including those that drag Aaliyah's memory into the mix. For creators, the move is to label the chain. Publicist sparked rumor, later self-reported law enforcement conversation, unverified, fan speculation. When you show viewers how shaky evidence mutates, you earn trust and keep your channel safer from defamation strikes. Next, the missing pages myth, Aaliyah's rumored journals, why fans believe they hold the industry's darkest secrets, and what we actually know. Section 7 coming up.
Section 7. Missing pages, the myth of Aaliyah's journal. Every time new allegations hit the hip-hop world, fans resurrect the same question. Did Aaliyah leave behind pages that name names? Over the years, YouTube docu-gossip channels and social posts have pushed a recurring claim that either Aaliyah herself or close collaborator Static Major kept a diary that detailed what really happened around her, from industry pressure to darker plots tied to her death. No authenticated journal has ever surfaced publicly. The diary functions more as fandom folklore, a placeholder for truths people believe were buried. Why does the myth stick? Partly because Aaliyah's estate has long been protective and selective about releasing personal materials, creating large blanks that invite projection. Music journalist Kathy Iandoli, author of Baby Girl, better known as Aaliyah, has spoken about the fragmented, disjointed narrative surrounding Aaliyah, how secrecy, legal complexity, and the sensational focus on her underage marriage to R. Kelly eclipse the fuller person she was. When official channels leave gaps, unofficial stories rush in. Cultural retrospectives underline that Aaliyah's early death froze her image at 22, forever promising, forever unfinished. Critics note that when an artist's story stops abruptly, fans build continuity themselves, decoding lyrics, replaying final videos, and imagining what the artist might have said next. That posthumous mystique, equal parts admiration and unresolved grief, helps explain how a rumor about missing pages becomes canon in online communities. For creators, the safe, high-retention move is to use the diary idea as a metaphor. Fans talk about the missing pages, all the things Aaliyah saw but never got to say publicly. Frame clearly that no verified journal has been released. What exists are fan theories, secondhand claims, and speculative videos. Labeling the gap keeps you out of defamation trouble while tapping into the emotional mystery that keeps viewers watching. Next, we'll close this series by asking the question at the heart of every Aaliyah conspiracy thread. What might have happened if she'd lived long enough to tell her own story? Conclusion coming up.
Conclusion. What if she'd lived to tell it? Put the pieces together and a pattern snaps into focus. Aaliyah's underage falsified 1994 marriage to R. Kelly, entered on paper, annulled under pressure, and later resurfacing in federal court testimony, proved how far powerful adults would go to manage legal risk when proximity to a minor threatened careers. 2 decades on, Cassie Ventura's lawsuit and the 2016 hotel surveillance video showing Sean Diddy Combs assaulting her dragged another private reality into daylight and fueled a broad federal probe into his alleged pattern of coercion and abuse. When violence can hide that long in plain celebrity view, fans naturally rescan old party photos and ask who knew what when Aaliyah was in those rooms. Add the rumor economy. Jonathan Hay has publicly admitted he fabricated early Jay Z Rihanna affair chatter as a publicity stunt. Proof that headlines can start as hype, metastasize across blogs, and harden into received history that later feeds darker speculation, linking stars and Aaliyah into sprawling conspiracy webs. What keeps Aaliyah at the center is the vacuum. Biographer Kathy Iandoli has spoken about the missing pieces in Aaliyah's public story, how her life was reduced to a scandal and a plane crash, while much of her voice remained locked away. Those blanks invite audiences to imagine missing pages that might explain everything. Until more is documented, we're left with facts, court records, and questions. What do you think those missing pages would say? Drop your take below. And subscribe for the Deep Dive series where we separate receipts from rumor in hip-hop history.